This training. So the content I have recently designed. It's been a week I was preparing this content, and we have around say 97 slides, you know, to go through. This all are the slides which having the everyday work and the practicality. So we'll be doing that. It's very in depth. So that's what I think. If you guys know this thing, you will be good at the checkpoint firewall for sure. Looking at the things in different aspects. All right. So the very first slide, what I have prepared is for the user and kernel mode processes. So this is the slide which we're going to talk about. When administrator is trying to debug the firewall, and he decides like which firewall functionality is implemented in the user space and which is implemented in kernel space, and then decide the best approach to address the problems and tools to most appropriate use, for tackling those things. So basically, the firewall kernel is responsible for the majority of the security gateways operations, such as security enforcement. So whatever the policy enforcement we do, that enforcement, encryption part, decryption part, natting part, then you can say QoS part, IPS part, whatever we call, everything which imposed to the traffic is handled by the your security kernel. In order to detect which part of the kernel might be responsible for the specific issues, we need to start with the inner structure of the firewall kernel, and it's basically the interaction with the OS and the kernel and the hardware and the kernel components such as acceleration, core Excel, secure Excel. We are going to look at all those things. So basically, the kernel mode resides in the lowest possible location. You know, every packet that goes to the firewall is got inspected by the kernel, and we able to see those inspection in the network layer troubleshooting. We'll be going to see that. So kernel or the security gateway is divided into two things. So uh, as you can see, the first thing is your user mode, this part, right? It has a processes, it has a database, and the second part is your the kernel mode, where you have the modules, where you have the drivers. We are going to touch each and every aspect of this, in deeper way as soon as we, go more into these trainings. So basically, this guy, the user mode, it allows the firewall to function more efficiently in the application layers. So when I talk about the application layer, it's more of your front end. So consider this is the your PC, and this is your gateway, this is your management server. Okay, whatever we are seeing here, okay, as per the application via connecting these guys, is all about delivered by the user mode processes. Okay, so the user mode is allows the firewall to function more efficiently in the application layer. The firewall employs the services that the OS provide and allow easy inspection files and whatever the connection what we are going to hit on the application part. So uh, it is important and it is possible to have the communication between your user mode processes and the kernel mode processes. Okay, and it is happen via in the background when we say for example we try to log into your checkpoint firewall gateway via smart console, when you impose the policy, everything. So we are only saying that okay, this is things is happening, but in background there is a communication between your user mode processes and your kernel mode processes. Okay, that communication happens via particular signals. Let me clear the screen. And guys, feel free to interrupt me here because these topics are very deep and difficult to understand in a one go. So whenever you feel okay, this is not something getting in my head, just let me know. I'll try to talk in some other language. Okay. So as I was saying, the communication between the user mode and the kernel mode is very important. Okay, and there is a two-way how the communication works. As you can see on the screen, there is a number one communication, which is input output control. Okay, I stand for input, O stand for output, and CTL for control, and one is traps. Okay, so when this guy, the kernel guy, want to communicate or a signal or kernel process wishes to signal to the user mode process. Okay, when this guy want to communicate to this user mode process, what happens? It sets traps. Okay, this is a deeper level when we talk about the OS of the checkpoint firewall. How the checkpoint firewall work in terms of the OS. Okay, so when the kernel want to communicate to the user mode, he set the traps. For example, what happens in checkpoint firewall when you go inside? There is something called registry files. Okay, and that files have different keys. Okay, so what uh, kernel do? It set the flag here. For example, right now all are 0. Okay, and now this kernel want to communicate to the user mode with some sort of particular application oriented work or module oriented work. So it set that flag to 1, for example. Okay, here, so basically it says that traps, and basically it changes the value in a registry key. So it make that flag 0 to 1, and the user mode process monitor that flag. Basically we call stumbles. This is the term the checkpoint use for that. Okay, on that trap and perform the required operations. And this is how the kernel achieve whatever work you want to deliver from the user mode process. He just set this uh, flag here on those registry key, and it's flag it, and then the communication is initiated to the user mode. Okay, this is a theoretical part. We'll be seeing things in a practical way, but just for now, just understand how it works internally. All right. And when this guy, the user mode, he wanted to communicate to the kernel. Okay, what happens? Or the user mode want to write something to the to the kernel process it. What he uses this thing, which is called input output control, which is an infrastructure allowing the entity to call a function in the kernel and supply the required parameters. So basically, when kernel want to communicate to the user mode, it set the traps, and when he want to communicate to the uh, when the user mode want to communicate to the kernel mode, he will basically set this input output control, and this is how uh, the kernel and the user mode come to know how the communication is happening. So far, any question, guys? This is what how things happens in the background when we talk about how the communication happens between the user mode and the kernel mode. And we are going to see what processes are here and what are the processes here. Okay, which talks to each other during the scene of troubleshooting.
So
For now, yeah.
so there is tools we can use to kind of see there is communication going. Is, let's say, the kernel was trying to send a trap and it wasn't able to send a trap or something like that. I don't know. Does that make sense? Do you have,
Yes,
or you have to?
yes. So basically, I'll give you one of the example.
Mhm.
Simple, when you look for the command like ETH tool, okay, or if you use the command simply like if config,
Mhm.
okay, it has a various parameters to see the interrupts,
Mm.
okay.
Mhm.
These interrupts is basically are these things like traps or input output control files. So when we see the interrupts are getting set, we come to know, okay, this is what happening. You know,
Mm.
uh, the kernel mode is trying to communicate to the user mode, or user mode is trying to communicate to the kernel mode. So we will see those commands and we'll see, okay, these interrupts are set, these interrupts are, number of interrupts are going from the kernel mode to user mode and everything.
Yeah.
So basically, for us, we have the interrupts, okay. There is no such things in in visibility to us that we will see, okay, this is a trap is set or something like that. But when we talk in a deeper way into the OS level, we have these things called interrupts, okay. Also, when we talk about this, we have flags, we have modules. So basically, as I said, we are able to troubleshoot these things, uh, this space. So we have different flags over there, different models over there. For example, if you want to check the connection table details, we have a flag like a con. If you want to check the firewall functionality, we have a tab like FW. We have to select the netting functionality, then we have a flag like NAT, something like that. So we can debug the details, based on these flags. This will be covering in upcoming slides, but for now, this is how it works, the user mode and the kernel mode. So Ruturaj, you have any question here?
No.
Okay, so basically, just understand that we are going to go in deeper way. That's what you guys are requested. So be with me. I'm sure you will be understanding the stuff for sure. Okay. Now we have seen the the theoretical part, but actually, if I want to debug this thing, what are the things I use in the background? Okay, so there are three main mechanisms that help us to address an issue in user mode processes plus the kernel mode processes. Okay, uh, have you guys heard about this? Opsec, TD error, HE error. Have you done debug
No.
using these things so
No.
far?
No.
Okay. How about you, Ruturaj?
No.
No? Okay, great. So we'll be doing the troubleshooting in after this slide. Okay. But before that, I want you guys to understand, how these things stand for. Okay. So first thing is that OPSEC. OPSEC is Open Platform for Security Enterprise Connectivity. It stands for Open Platform Security Enterprise Connectivity. Okay, that is the OPSEC stand for, and was an infrastructure which was originally written to allow a third-party vendor to have, API, application programming interface to the checkpoint code. So third-party API can do the, communication to the checkpoint code. So using the AppSec feature, that was the purpose of delivering this OPSEC feature into the checkpoint. Uh, this infrastructure was written with the built-in debugging mechanism, which allowed the developer to define certain conditions within the code. For example, when we look into the debug, we have the debug levels. So basically, we call it a debug level, and every level have a different meaning. So we have 1 to 9 debug level. Okay, will be doing this debugs using this different levels, and that will be result in a printing the debug messages. So as soon as you apply Opsec debug and you give him whatever the level you want to have, so accordingly the output of the kernel processes or the user mode processes, you will see on your screen. And uh, so debugging the OPSEC infrastructure is basically, gives you more in-depth output, what you're looking for, during the troubleshooting. So basically what happens, OPSEC debugging infrastructure is basically we consider as a flag debugging, you know, meaning you can turn the debug on or off for a specific processes at a particular debug level, which is 1 to 9, but cannot be isolate specific functionality application within that processes. So for example, you are having the different processes here, say FWM process. Okay, so what you will do, you will uh, debug, start the debug using the whatever the OPSEC debug code we have, and you are able to debug this process well, but you can't isolate a specific functionality or application within that process. So if I have this FWD process, so basically I can say the different process here, CPD process. So CPD process have the functionality where you do the SIG communication plus say some monitoring function. So when I apply this debug, you'll be seeing all these things into this output. You know, we can't be separate that CPD functionality uh, only with the SIG or only with the application monitoring, something like that. You know, so all the details will be seen in the output. We'll be running this debug in a short, but for the sake of understanding, just understand this is how this OPSEC works. So basically, OPSEC is a type of debug which we're going to use to see, this processes functionality, how the output is stored, and everything we will see in a one shot. Whatever the functionality by provided by that process, for example, we'll be seeing all output in one shot. This is why basically the OPSEC use. Uh, then also you heard about this thing. Maybe you are or you maybe not. There's something called TD. Okay, give me one sec. There's something called TD error. Okay, this guy. Second one. So TD error debugging infrastructure allows the administrator to choose the process and within the process the application and the topics which is of interest. So the basic OPSEC, as I told you, we don't able to select the sub functionality of that process. If we are debugging say CPD, it has a say SIG functionality, it has a application monitoring functionality. So using OPSEC debug, you're only able to see both the things at the same time, okay, in output. But when we talk about the TD error debug, which we're going to run in a short, you are able to differentiate the functionality wise output. So if you want to only see the SIG, you can do that. If you want to see only application monitoring part, you can do that. I mean, uh, in output, you will be observe these things, separately. You know how the uh, SIG works, how the this guy, the Amon works. There will be the separate line of output for all this functionality. Okay. I know, guys, it's going very deeper, but just be with me. We'll be, looking into this, right? So the TDL debugging infrastructure allows the administrator to choose the process within the process, the application, and the topics which is of the interest. that helps isolate the relevant information within the debug output, which I just said, if you want to see the ASIC output, if you want to see this output, you can isolate using this TD error. And you can define the context topic of the debug for that component and establish the condition within a specific detail level. So in the TD error, the syntax look like say TD error. Uh, then you have to give the components, and then you have to the context which you want to give, and the level like 0 to 5. You'll be saying this thing. Once the debug is set, the process automatically write the information into the appropriate files. We'll be going to see in the next uh, talk, like how it looks. Uh, so far, any question on TD error or Opsec? I know it's a theoretical part. We'll be looking into the practical way, but just give me the understanding that okay, you understood what I'm talking about. Just at least a 10% of it.
Yeah, basically this is run on the user mode level. So Opsec is something which gives you doesn't give you fine grained result. It gives you everything. TD error is more specific to what error you're looking for.
Right. Perfect. That's what I was looking for the answer. Great. So, Rutraj, are we also on the same page?
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome. So, last one, which is called H error. So, mostly you won't be able to see, or you will not see this thing, H error. This is more of the checkpoint thing, and rarely we are using this, but we need to understand what is H error. Tomorrow, if you go for the troubleshooting training or some training or troubleshooting these exams which offer from the checkpoint, they will be having a question on this H error. Okay. So H error is an internal debug infrastructure, and it is not usually invoked directly the way we invoke the TD error and OPSEC. This debugging infrastructure is usually invoked when a process started with the flag call D. Okay, like this. So, for example, if I say when I debug the AWD process, and when I say D, okay, as soon as I use this D, uh, this H error, gets started. Which is this is the registered, variable, or you can say the registered runtime global variable, which they call in a checkpoint world do debug pointer, something like that. Okay, or do debug point, something like that. Okay, so whenever you see any process invoked or involved with dash d, you know consider we are doing H sort of debugs, and it's automatically in a background it involves. So usually when we run the debug we type this opsec and the expression, or td error and the expression. But H error I don't see anywhere we type like H error and an expression. So it's mostly invoked when we use that flag T. Okay, and whenever we just run this command like this, okay, the debug gets started. So uh, I'm not going more deeper onto this. Just for the understanding, I'm just telling you this is how this H error looks. Okay, so now let me see if we can go for some practical way. Let me see if I have an example for, right. Okay. So what we will do now, we'll see this thing in a little bit practical way. Okay. Uh, how the things are involved. So let me open my lab. Okay. What I'm going to do, first, or it's better to, okay, what we will do, let's wait for these two topics get covered. And when we say come to this topic, say CPD process, we'll run these debugs and observe the output of the CPD process. Likewise, we'll do for the rest of the process. Okay. So let me just go for the next slide and give you more on this. Okay. So it's better in that sense that okay, the things will be understood. So far so good, guys.
Yes, so far very good.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's deeper. That is what I expected, and you guys are also requested. So just be with me. So now we talked about the this guy. We talk about the user mode and we talk about the kernel mode, right? Now what we're going to do, we are going to see what are the processes involved in the user mode, what are the processes are involved in the kernel mode, what are the management processes, what are the kernel processes, and everything we're going to see. Okay. And this is how the security gateway processes are uh, intact together. So when I talk about only about the user mode processes, uh, this is how it looks. So when the security gateway user mode processes, they are like CPD, FWD, VPND, AWSSD, CPWD. We'll be looking into these processes in a deeper way, but this is how the security gateway user mode processes are together. After the user mode processes, there is something called OSIP stack, and behind that there is a kernel one, firewall one kernel processes resides. We'll be having a deeper view here, uh, and like just for the sake of understanding here, just understand whenever the packet, for example, this is your okay. So say this is your say outside world or inside world, okay, from where the packets are coming. So consider this is inside and this is the outside, okay. So whenever the packet hits to your NIC, okay, then that NIC packet, after all your initial processing, it hit to the kernel, and then once the kernel processes get worked on, it goes to the user mode processes, and these processes, whatever the as per the application, get come into the picture, and then it goes out via the another NIC. So how the things comes together, we'll be seeing in a deeper way in next slide.
So,
Okay.
quick question.
Yeah.
So when the,
Yeah.
the data comes to the kernel first, and
Mm.
then the kernel will send a trap to the user mode, or does it? Yeah, it probably sends a trap, right, to any one of the services or the process.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So for example, your data is coming like say you have a VPN configured, okay, and the packets are coming which are encrypted. So obviously VPND daemon need to be get involved over here. But how we know that here VPND daemon get involved? There has to be some communication from the kernel mode to the user mode, right? Of course, here also there is different processes. Like here we are seeing CPD, FWD, VPND. Here also the processes are there: CPD, FWD, VPND, and everything. We'll be seeing that in our next slides. But I'll just tell you. So here there is something called say CPD or VPND process, okay, which is reside at the kernel mode, that gets started initiating the communication. And if it requires something over a VPND or which is reside on the user mode processes, then it invoke that. We'll be seeing this in a deeper way. Just here, just understand. Uh, for kernel mode, you have all these processes like this. Here also you have those processes, okay. But depending on the situation application, they get touch each other. For the packet processing, most of the things handle via kernel, okay, here only. And if it require some intervention here, for example, uh, if I am the admin and I'm doing something with the VPN, okay, I'm just modifying something, or over over the packet flow, I'm doing some sort of debugging or something like that. That time it required user mode process to be coming with the picture. That time it will send those traps, and if those come into the picture. Otherwise, everything will be handled at this guy level, and then it will send that output here, right, after processing that to the outbound. We'll be seeing this in our upcoming slides, okay, in a deeper way. But as you asked, I'm just telling that is what exactly happens in between, in the background. Mostly this user mode processes come into the picture when we talk about the application environment. And when I talk about the application environment, from a smart console, you will be doing some VPN changes or VPN configuration, okay, and then you are pushing that into the firewall. Then these things come into the picture. But for the traffic flow, if you are doing some interrupting something over a VPN communication, uh, when you do the VPN debugs or something like that, so that time this will come into the picture. But it's very deep. You don't have to worry about that, because that is already the software defined, and the software is already working as per that requirement. We don't have to worry on this part. But the understanding purpose, we should know these processes will uh, talk to each other during the different situations. There are n number of situations, you know so you can't name it like, okay, only this situation, this thing will come into the picture, or this situation, that thing will come into the picture. Depends, right?
Yep.
Mm, yeah. Next. um yes, before that, just I wanted to brief you something about the management component processes. The management component is responsible for all the management operation in the system. It contains several different components such as management, say reporting suite, log servers, smart event, etc. All of the functionality of the management server is implemented into the user mode processes, and where each process is responsible for the several operations. So, as I said, this guy, the application view. This is your smart console, and this is your management server. This is your gateway. Whatever you are seeing here, you know, as per the application, you have to do modification and anything or everything which related to the any sort of application which we generally use during the smart console. All these things comes when we talk about the processes which are related to the management level. So all application oriented processes, all processes which require a communication for the application to interact, those processes, comes under the management. Okay, and as I have listed these are the main processes. Obviously, there are some other processes also come into the picture, but these are the main management processes which generally, you know, come into the picture and we require to do the troubleshooting. And based on this troubleshooting, we'll get the the output like how the things working for these different applications. So the processes are like FWM, FWD, CPD, CPWD. Okay. Uh, in next slides, we'll be seeing these processes in a deeper way. But as I said, user mode processes and the kernel mode processes. So these are the four important processes what we have in the user mode. And we also call it management component processes. Okay. Uh, so far, any doubt here, guys?
No, good.
No. Okay. So now let's talk about the process called CPD. Okay. And after understanding this process, we'll do some lab on this to see how the CPD works. Uh, so CPD stand for checkpoint daemon, and this one is a core process which is available on every checkpoint product. So whichever the checkpoint product you will buy, you will be seeing this, CPD process. Uh, these are the few important functionality which offered by the uh, CPD process. So we heard about this SIC, secure internal communication functionality. So mostly we know how the SIC is established and how the SIC come into the picture when we do the application communication or a configuration. But you now aware that when we talk about the SIC, secure internal communication, what process come into the background. So for the SIC we have this port, for different purposes. So 81, 81, 210, 81, 2 uh, 09, something like that. So these ports have a different functionality. Say for SIC we have this port, for pushing the certificate we have this port, for putting the certificate we have this port. All these things related to the, I'm just saying, okay, the port may be changed for a different purpose. I have to check that which is the right port for what. But just for now, sake of understanding, just understand. Say these are the uh, different ports 188xx, which we use for the secure internal communication. And whenever we do the SIC establishment from your security management server to the security gateway, okay, during this establishment, the process which invoked, which is SIC. Generally, during the checkpoint interviews, uh, they try to ask you this sort of questions, which is in a deeper way, like tell us the CPD daemon, what is the purpose of it, why we use these daemons. So one of the important daemon, which is CPD, and the one of the important functionality for the CPD, which is SIC. The second thing is that status, pulling the application monitoring status from the gateway management using a smart event. So the latest we use like say smart event, or the smart monitoring blade. Over there you are seeing different aspects like different parameters. Like on a play, you will see the graphs, you will see uh, the throughputs, you will see the different things here. In smart event, you are seeing the IPS related things and everything. all these testers pulling details or pulling things is happened via CPD process. Okay. So say tomorrow, you in your environment you are suspecting that CPD process is down, then consider these are the the background details which also will be down. So the secure internal communication will get down. Your status, the pulling the application monitoring status from the gate security management servers and the smart events also will get down. Okay. Then the transferring messages between the firewall one processes. So whenever we talk about the the communications happens between the firewall one processes. Say here is a CPD, here is a CPD between the two different module of the firewall. Those messages, you know, also get processed via CPD. And the last one is the policy installation. So sorry, yeah, policy installation. So whenever the policy we push from the management server to the security gateway receives the policy and pushes it forward to the relevant processes and the kernels. So say for example, this is your management server, this is your gateway. When you push the policy from the management server to this gateway, that is happens, but the CPD process, which actually in a background saying those config the code what we have push to relevant processes. So if you have VPN related configuration, it's sent to the VPND process. If you have FWD related configuration, it will send to the FWD process. Whatever in a kernel mode process we have, it will send those communication over there. Understood? Any question? This is very important part of the this uh, first day session, the CPD.
CPD is
Let me know if any question here.
so it's a main process which runs on both the gateway and the managed.
Yeah.
Uh,
So as I mentioned, four different functionalities during our the previous courses. We have seen the secure internal communication. We have seen the smart events, this smart view monitor. We have seen the policy installations, everything. But have you ever thought about this? How it works in a background?
now,
No, right?
now it's clear.
So now it's clear, right? Now this is the guy which is helping you to deliver that all work. And if just imagine this guy is down, then what will be the issue?
All the rest of the services work.
Yeah, so that's why whenever we do the this thing, once we gateway is up and running, we will use this command cpwd underscore admin list, and we'll check if the cpd is up and running, right? Very first thing. And whenever sometimes you face the things like, okay, oh no, what happened, my sick is was established yesterday, now it's got broken, it's saying not communicating, what is happening, you know immediately you have to think in your mind, okay, let's look for the security process. Also for the monitoring part, also for the policy installation is causing some issues, you know let's go ahead and check the security process. Okay, but this is what we all talking about in terms of the management server, right? If we're sick, we are delivering from the management server to the gateway. Status is also doing for the same, and the policy installation also we are dealing from the management server. So this is core of the your user mode process. Uh, One of the process which is called CPD. Okay.
Vaibhav,
Mm-hmm.
just tell me one thing. If CPD get restart, and we have the cluster, so will
Mm-hmm.
that switch the cluster member? Because what
Mm-hmm.
I'm observing that in my organization, that Maybe
Mhm.
I don't know that is that the CPD or some other process maybe, but something that is getting restarted, and after that, uh, the cluster member is switching itself.
Okay, so your question answer is that, when we set up a cluster, okay, this is one gateway, this is another gateway, okay,
Mhm.
there is something called we set for the monitoring purpose. What we call it? Uh, ICA, internal monitor check, IC, IM, IMC. I'll show you that part. Okay. Basically, it stand for internal or interface, whatever it is, monitoring check. Okay. If that is set over there, the number one thing, by default set from the checkpoint is, these processes: FWM, FWD, CPD. Okay. So whenever anything happens to these processes, okay, for example, this process is down, because of that monitoring check, what we have set over there by default set from the checkpoint, it consider that okay, this process is down. That means that cluster is having issue. So it's by default what happens. It's do the failover, but the failover will happen to the next gateway, which is standby. But depends what the clustering you have. You have the say VSX environment. You have the simply standby or this environment, depending on that. I will show you this part, where you need to check. But this is what happening in your environment. So you have to, you know, uh, check that whether this monitoring check is there for different processes. And if in case something happening with this processes is getting down, obviously the checkpoint will consider as it's, that thing is go down. In other firewall world, we set up something called monitoring path, you know, monitoring path or monitoring. Uh, in Palo Alto, we set something like monitoring interface. We calling something like that, you know.
It's just called in
Hmm?
AS also we used to call that monitoring
Yeah,
interface.
right. Right. So what we do here, we set up these interfaces. Say ETH1, if it is get down, you know, the firewall consider as the firewall should get a failover, right? Something like that. For that, we set up like this, right? For such situation also, for similar sort of work, instead of these interfaces, you can also set up this thing, these processes. If something happening related to the processes, you know
Hmm.
then the failover is happening. Or if you have set up for the interfaces, okay, and due to some network error or something like that, if there is some fluctuation in the interfaces, you will be getting this thing. There is a important concept called bond, you know check one firewall interfaces. In bonding, we have two different interfaces connected together, ETH1, ETH2, for example.
Hmm.
Okay. So also remember, if you have this interface monitoring checks on and you have bond interfaces, also check that whether these interfaces are getting fluctuation or any issues on this. If this got down somehow or maybe some error, due to this is not working well, that time also it gives this indication to your gateway that okay, some issues on your clustering, let's do the switch over. So there is not one answer. Okay, there
Hmm.
are multiple answers for your questions, but depends on the setup what you have to check this thing. But answer will reside into this concept only, this monitoring interface check what you have set up for your
Okay,
gateways.
if any demons will restart or any issue if terminated or something, then
Yes,
can
it will.
we
It will
identify?
do the follow.
Identify what will be the
Uh,
reason?
yes,
Okay,
that we will be going to see in a lab now.
okay, then. Sure.
Okay,
Okay.
awesome. So what will be identified the approach I'm going to tell you. Okay, uh, this is what we need to follow the approach. We are not able to reproduce all the various features we have or the different aspect we have for the labs. But now I will give you an approach. So for this, using this approach, you can tackle whatever the different issues you have with respect to your this processes or daemons. Okay, this is what we're going to see now. So keep concentrate. Keep eye on this, and let's look into this now. So right now, what I have in my lab, I have just configured one management server, uh, two gateways. Okay, I don't have anything else here. And what is the time now? 7:30. Okay, it's a 1 hour. Let's take 5 minutes quick break. Just have a water and come back, and we'll just after that we'll be doing this lab. Okay, give me
Okay.
2-3 minutes. You also take a break.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, I'm back. Uh, if feel free to take 5 minutes break. I'm just trying to see if I'm able to reach to the different configuration here. 1.2. Okay, I'm not. So guys, let me know once you're back.
Yep, I'm back.
Yeah.
Okay, let me know my screen is visible to you guys. Excuse me.
Yeah, yeah, it's clear.
Font is okay?
Yep, perfect.
Okay. So let me just show you. We just talk about the CPD, this thing, daemon. So when you go to the export mode, okay, there's a two-way to find where this guy, CPD daemon is inside, okay, the CPD process is inside. So if you don't mind, you can take a notes on this part. So first thing is that you have to find it. There's a command called find. Okay, you're finding from the root. Okay, and the name of the process which you're going to find says cpd.elg. Okay, so with this you'll able to find the actual the path where the this process is inside. Okay, so just try to have this command with you handy. So whichever the process you want to find, you have to use this syntax, and just whatever the thing you want to find from the checkpoint gateway or the management server, just use this syntax. You'll be able to find that file into your this thing, right? So this is a one thing, and in a other way, uh, use this command, say cp directory and or a log. Uh, cp directory logs. Let me see. cp directory. Oh, so sorry. My mistake. Change to that. Okay. ls. And here you will be able to see all the related files related to the cpd. Okay. Are you guys following me?
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So this the things. So now what we're going to do? Okay. Let me see where I am right now. So right now I'm at the cp directory into the log. And if I say ls, I will able to see the cpd file. And if I want to go inside into the cpd file, I have to just use less and then cpd and the file name. Okay. If I say enter, I'll be able to see all these things. Okay. For example, for now, whatever the things are happening on this cpd directory, I can see the seek is initialization started, and when it was. So today it is what is the date today? So today is 2nd of March. Sorry, May, and here it's showing me some dates like 30 April. So 3 days, 2 days before, this is what the initialization happens. So based on this, you can come to know what uh, this file was old enough or it's recent one. So let's go out of this file. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to understand this part of it, the SIG process. Uh, what happens when we do the secure internal communication? What internally happens when we see into that cpd.elg file? How that cpd daemons carry on those packets, which is related to the SIG. Okay, we'll be doing that. Before that, let me show you the lab structure what we have. This is a simple lab structure what we'll be having and will have. So this is my PC which having the IP address 192.168.1.0, and we'll be setting this cluster which we having one member having 192.168.1.2 and another one is 3, and the cluster IP is 192.168.1.254. We'll be having a one Windows server. We'll be having 101 as a management server, and there is some PC which we will use for the attacking purpose for our different performance package labs. So this is simple lab what we have. Right now, what I want to do, I want to go to the management server which having IP address 1.1. Let me go into that. Hopefully it is up. There is the management server. Export. Clear data address. Oh, it will not work. If config. Okay, right there I will 1.1.1.101 for ETS 0. And here what we have, only one interface we have in a bridge mode. So I think we should be able to connect it. Okay. Okay, so it's still saying it's initializing. Now guys, see it's saying it's initializing. So where you can check this thing. So there's a command cp wd underscore admin list. Sorry, admin list. Here you are able to see all the daemons, okay? And as here saying the statistics, it says establish. That means all the processes which we have here, those having the established status, okay? If you want to see, for example, giving me a message that is still establishing state, so we can also check with respect to the ports as well, whether they are in established states or not. One sec, let me find that command. So see, next start minus NA, and you have to grep whichever the port you want to see, okay, depending on the whatever the functionality you want to check, whether communication is getting established with that or not. So let's see if the whatever the basic ports which supposed to be listened on, or I mean the basic processes which supposed to be listened on over the port 18190, if it's there. So it says nothing there, but let's try from the management server. List. Okay, now it's saying all good. Let's start minus NA. So it says, let me do it like this. One 8190 is basically, uh, the port which is generally the whatever the clients which we are trying to connect to the uh, security management server. Are they on a listening state or established state? So mostly if you are seeing here 18190, everything is stays established. I don't see anything as a listening. Okay, so now I think we are good to connect. You following me, guys, or it's disconnected?
No,
Yeah.
it's a
Mhm. So as per the process wise, I can say everything is established. So it should not give me that error now. Let's see. And while doing this, just writing down those commands, which I am just putting over here. It's very important, those details, because when you do the troubleshooting, it's very handy for you to check the stuffs. Okay. Now let's do this. So we have this guy gateway, FW get RFS, and it has these IP addresses. So what we will do, we'll first create this gateway, and when we try to establish this, we'll run some debug here. So let me go here and create the gateway object. Give it a name, say gateway 1, IP address 192.168.1.2. Before clicking to that, let's go ahead here and let's run the debug. So let me tell you the debug. So where we are right now. So right now we have this CPD LG process here. So what I'm going to do, let me show you what is in CPD. We have already seen that. Okay. So this is what we have right now on the CPD process. In production environment, it's recommended that move this CPD ELG file. Okay. For example, take a backup of this file and create a new file. But in this lab environment, what I'm going to do, I'm just removing this file cp.elg, and I will be create the same file using the debug. Okay. So what I'm going to do is say remove cpd.elg file. The file got removed. If you see, that file is not present here. I just removed that file from the gateway. In production environment, you just have to copy the details from that file or move, give a backup of that file using the move command, and then run these things. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, I wanted to create one cpd file with blank content. So I just run command cpd.elg. So right now the file is created. If you see, now if I see what is in there, there is nothing into that file. Okay. So right now we don't have anything into that file. The file is just blank. So now let's do this. Echo, what I'm going to do, I'm going to type this. So this will go into that file. Say debug will start from here. Okay, and then I will do this, and I want this to go into this file cpd.elg. Okay, if I do less cpd.elg, you at the bottom you will see debug will start from here. So after that all the debugs will see. Okay,
Mhm.
now let's start the debug. Okay, so fw, let me clear the screen for you. So fw debug. Okay, or before that, this is important. We don't know what are the debugs are running on my firewall. So what I will do, I'll first set all debugs to 0. So this is the first command, fwctl debug 0. So what are the debugs I have set on my firewall? Maybe not me, why some other admin. If they do that, this will make all those as 0 or reset it to back to the normal. Okay. Now the actual command fw debug cpd daemon I'm going to debug. And when I say on, okay, the debug will get on. Now, as we learn about this td error, this is what I'm going to put as an in output, and with the level or the option 5. You can Google it. TD error options levels. What it means. The number 5 means it's everything we are capturing for the CPD. Everything need to be put into this place. So just I have started this debug with the TD error. Okay, what happened now? Now this flag which we have set for this CPD, the signal like say user mode is signal to the kernel mode that okay, this is what is going to happen. Vice versa as well, the trap setting from the kernel to the user mode. This is how you get an indication. I think someone asked me this question. So this is how you will see whether the whatever the things are getting communicated or signaled. How we can see that. This is how the firewall give you a hint on this. Okay. Now the flag is got set. Now let's do for the debug for the same for the Opsec parameters. So cpd wdebug cpd on. So what we are going to do, we are capturing, specific outputs, and we are also capturing the entire details. So now we are capturing for the entire details for the using the Opsec. Opsec debug level 9. You also can Google it what this level 9 is all about. All right. So also we have set the flag. Now what we are going to do, now the detail will capture into that ELG file. What we are going to do, let's go ahead and establish the communication from here. So I'm just giving one-time password. I'm saying, say, let's initialize. Okay, the SIG is established. Now I'm going back to here. Now you want to stop all these CPD debugs. So AW debug CPD off. Same thing. Okay. But here we have to give 1. So we are stopping this. And I want to do the same thing here. for stopping this debug, right? And just have one more command here. Debug 0. So whatever the debug we have done, we are just stopping it. Okay. Let me clear up the string. Let's see how it works. So let me see what we have here right now. Let's see if anything captured into the cpd debug. Cpd file. Okay. There's nothing got captured. Let's see what we have here. cpwd.elg. Right. So I see whatever the debug we have done, we are not seeing anything into this cp.elg file. Okay. Let's do same thing from the management side. Okay. 192.168.1.101. Admin. Start. Clear up the screen. Okay. So one thing what we have observed, whatever we have done, okay, with respect to the user mode processes, okay, we have seen nothing into the gateway output. Okay. Uh, it is one clarity what I have now, that whatever I have delivered here, it's not logged on to the file which uh, is into the gateway. Okay. Let's try to do the same thing with the management server. So we'll be having a clarity whether we are talking about the user mode processes or the gateway mode processes. Okay. So what I will do, let me just go back here. Let me just suspend this guy, and let's open this another guy. Resume. Now let's do the same thing from here. Let me go to the new gateway. While just want that gateway to have the expert password. Okay, now let's establish the SIC. Uh, Gateway 2, 192, 168, 1.3, communication, Initialize. Okay. Close. So okay, here. Let's go back to this thing and let's just stop the debugs. Okay, this is the management server. Let me see. Celebrity.elg. Okay. So guys, do you see this?
CPD.
So what I did, I just tell you first. Okay. Just I wanted to clear that part with you guys. So this is one thing. Let me show you one more thing. This is a gateway tool. Let me just open this. See, this is my gateway. Okay. Let me do this. Uh, so you both are listening. Let me know. I'll just
Yeah.
start.
Yep.
Okay. So this is my gateway. Okay. And this is my management server. So far, are we talking about the processes which are in the gateway or processes in the management server?
Mainly the management server.
Right. SIG is application, right? Which we send SIG communication to the gateway, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so we're talking about the CPD, which is into the management server. So whatever the output we are going to see, will not see into the CPD which is present into the gateway. Okay, we will see the output which is CPD present into the management server. So one part is clear. We have a two CPD process, which is one is into the gateway and one is into the management server.
Yeah.
Clear,
Yep.
right? That's why I have run the same debug in two different places. One is into the gateway and one is into the management server. To have you clarity on that, how the CPD works, how this user mode and the kernel mode processes works, right? So right now we are at the user mode space. So whatever the output we are seeing, so see this is the output from the uh, gateway. And when I say debug start and debug end, do you see anything recorded here?
No.
There is nothing, right? This is something, some basic callback function or whatever the communication need to be happen with respect to the gateway to the user mode process. That is only happen in a small way. So we can say the traps or something like that got set, you know, and only relevant details like receiving the certificate, pulling the certificate, receiving licensing, whatever the simple things which is happened via the gateway, that is delivered here. Okay, there is no fancy stuff which we going to observe into the management process. So now, are we clear on this?
Yes.
Okay, on the management server. Okay, uh, when I say, let me quit and let me come again. So I'm looking for the word I said, like debug start, and from there onwards we'll see what are the things happen. So here is stop, and of course there will be something debug start. Okay, so if you see this, so cpd process get my SIG name from registry. Okay, what this means, as I said, when trap said, something flag change into the registry, read the machine SIG name and the certificate, from the management server. So initially the SIG establishment happened when the management server certificate get pushed to the gateway. You can see that here, right? These are the basics, what happens behind the SIGs. If you read through these details, uh, so initially the handlers, the whatever the things, in the background come into the picture, you will see here. So uh, let me copy these details into the notepad, so we'll see in better way. Let's have this copy notepad. This is the first thing what happens when we establish the SIG. It asks for the SIG details, the certificates and everything, that is get received. Uh, so this is all about the kernel level, the process level, the things happens. Uh, so what is my purpose here to tell you that when we going to troubleshoot the processes, the approach should be like this. Okay, and uh, now everything happens smooth, there is no issue over there. Okay, but for example, if I run the same thing, uh, let's do this again. Okay, let me stop it. Now what we will do, let's see if we can break the SIG, what will happen, okay? Just for the sake of understanding. So let's do this. So new debug will start here. Let me have this place. Now what we will do, we'll just go ahead and try to break the SIG with the gateway 2. Or else, let's do this. What I'm going to do, I'm going to stop this CPD daemon, okay, and observe the thing, what happens. Uh, if you want, you can write it down, the command to do that, and just copy paste here. So I'm going to stop the CPD daemon now on the management and the gateway also, and then we'll see what happens. Okay. Let me do it on the both the side. So let's do it on the management server. Okay, so this will not work here. Let's do it from here. Wait. Okay. CPWD admin stop, name CPD path. Okay, the path is different here now. It's now not, it's long. Okay, let's see if it gets stopped. CPWD underscore admin list. Okay, still established. Alright, what I'll do, let's do this. Let's kill this process for now. And let me see. Still there.
That's two.
No, it's terminated.
It's terminated. Where do you see that?
CPD.
Yeah, it's still.
No, you can scroll down.
Where do you see?
Right there.
Fourth number. You can check this.
CPD right here. Down.
This one. Okay. Okay. So it's now terminated, right?
Yeah.
Let's do it also here. CPWD underscore admin list. see the process. Let me kill it. Okay, it's terminated. Now let's stop this debug. Let me go back. Original debug. Stop this guy. Stop this. Let's work on the gateway. And now just say no debug stop. Now unset everything. Okay, let me clear the screen. Let's see what is there. cpd.emg. And if you're not able to search things from here like this, what you need to do? Just you have to press this arrow and write the string. So it will go take you there. So for example, if I have say new, okay, so it's took me to this new, okay, and took me there, but I want to see everything that. Let's see. Here. Okay. So here the new debug start. Let's see, the seek is still there. Let's go to the gateway to communication test. So stopping the seek still is saying it's communicating, but why it may be because of uh, the process which got killed, it's again got initialized. Maybe something like that. cp wd underscore admin first. So if you see here the time got changed, but it's got initialized. So in background it happens until we terminate it with the forcefully. Let me see how we can terminate that with the proper this thing. So it's a cpwd underscore admin. It's to stop this guy, whose name is cpd, and we have to give the path where that file is reside. It's under $sign cp India bin, not bin, then it's in log, and then cpd underscore admin. This is what we have to do, and then cpd underscore admin stop. So this is what the command is: cpd underscore admin stop name cpd path.
It's not the cpd.elg.
No, it's like this only. It's not working. So there is an escape for this. Let me open that. Okay. Debug. I don't want debug. To see the process. No debug. This one. It is okay to extend next 30 minutes?
Yep, no problem for me.
Okay.
There is a bin.
CPD process. Yeah. I want to stop it. It says bin. The problem is that still it's not taking that pin. So if I say from management. Okay.
I'll be back in like 1 minute.
Yeah. CPWD underscore rest. Yeah, now it's got terminated. Okay. So what we will do, we'll run the debug again. Okay, now it's established. So let me know if all we are on the same page.
Yeah.
So have you observed that killing that process will not impact your SIG
Yeah.
because it's again getting resetted or getting this thing. But now let me check the status because we stopped the SIG. Okay, still communicating. Let's do this. This is my gateway one. This is this. Let's rerun the things one more time. One, give it a name. One. Okay. So I just started the debug. Let's do this. Let's go ahead and kill the process. And then let's do this. All right. Let's cpd.emg. Here, just fine for new one. see the SIG is down,
Mm-hmm.
right? We can observe here, but at the kernel level or the user mode process level, uh, we are not getting any specific message where it's indicating that okay, the processes got stopped or failed or something like that. If I say here failed, something like say failed, there's nothing, or say fail, fail, or I can say problem. So I don't see anything like that, but if you see, uh, when this process started, uh, we are seeing a lot of different outputs here as compared to the
I see it failed earlier on the last screen.
here, right?
It was a bit above, just it failed. Do another search for failed?
It start from F.
Yeah, FAILE.
Yeah,
There you go. Traps on instance.
right. Let's see how many we have. Only one. But what I was looking,
Mm-hmm.
that fail should see, for example, if I say failed, mm, so this is the new debug which started from here. Just observe there's something called new debug one. I mean new one debug. Okay. is failed. Okay, move on debug. So from here onwards, we should see something like failed or something like that. So when we run this debug, after this, these are the things came into the picture. Get my SIG registry with machine. If I go more into this, so it's giving some existing or non-existing. Get download, get down. So here we are not seeing anything like failed. Debug but stop. Let's do one more thing now. So now let's see cpwd underscore admin rest. The process is still terminated. So what we will do, we will rerun the debugs and we'll start the process and we'll see what is new over there. Let's do this. So everything is management server. So there is nothing happens on the gateway side, nothing much. So whenever you're doing troubleshooting with the respect to the SIG, always consider it's your management server for the debugging flags purpose. Not I'm talking about the resetting and all. Just I'm talking about the the other aspect of the debug. So now it's debug started. Let's start that process. Security admin starts it. Okay. So the process got started successfully. And let's see here we get any changes. Let me cancel it. I'll come back again. But still it's saying failure. Okay, let's go to the manual server and stop these debugs. Now let's do this. Okay. Okay, it looks good here. Uh, but the only thing is that it's difficult to understand like what is actually going on here in terms of the parameters. But I can see the things getting established, things getting resetted, things getting, uh, what are the things happening with respect to that process. The purpose of this lab is all about, understanding of how this CPD process works. If we stop these things, what are the things get stopped and everything like that. Uh, Most of the time, if we are, not able to understand these things, we generally open a ticket with the tag, and they give us a more understanding on this, what is happening. But a successful SIG will not give you all these messages. That's what I have observed today. It's more of, giving you the messages related to the this thing. It's certificate exchange and everything. If something like this, saying, and if you're observing anything like failed, you come to know that okay, the issues happen with the SIG or whatever the process is. And one more thing here, let's go back to the root, and if you know more on the logs, what is happening on your processes, you have to go to the var and log. There is something called messages file, you know. Uh, Here on this side, okay, there's a message file. Do you see this?
Yeah.
So if you do this, let's to this file. So what are the things happening? All the uh, what are the changes you are doing on the uh, management side, gateway side, depending on where you are looking on this file. So right now we are looking at the management side. So you will seeing those details here. So what we did something on the SIG, if I say type SIG, okay. Let me see if we have anything else here. Reset something like that. Let's see if we set. No. Reset. Reset. So here also you need to observe like which dates we are looking. Right now it's May 1. Right now we are at May 2. So whatever the things we are doing, okay, you can observe here. So basic things, if you are logging from one prompt to the another or whatever, the admin related things you are doing, everything you are seeing here. So for example, from management side, we have not seen much thing, but let's look into the gateway side. Same thing, same messages file. Change var log less messages. There is second. Yep. let's see if we get anything like failed. Should be in failed this thing. So as we stop this CPD process, it's saying me failed to send the logs. So basic thing what I want to tell here, these processes all are interlinked. We'll be seeing those things in upcoming slides. But whatever the processes we have, which runs into the user mode or a kernel mode debug, they all are interlinked. So if you see, generally the FWD process causes the issue with related to the logs, but I can see that CPD also, taking some part, to sending the logs. So not only one process is realized, every process and everything is got interlinked. So we have to think on that perspective. Whatever the things I'm doing, okay, it's everything you will see here. So I have logged into the service, I have stopped this service, I stop this service, I start this service. For example, if I say start see, or if I say stop, start, I can say like 6, no, or I can say CPD. So this is one of the file which you also want to look when you're doing debugs. There is a lot of guys. I mean, the more you will look into these things, you will get more details. But the basic approach, what you need to follow to debug these things, is the same. There are the processes uh, which resides at the security gateway user mode and the kernel mode. So this is the important slide. Security gateway, it has the processes under the user mode, it has the processes under kernel mode. So depends where you are at and from where you are troubleshooting, these processes come into the place. This is the first day only. I mean, we have a lot more to go. We have just seen a CPD process and we went so deeper. The scope was not that much deep, but I wanted to you guys to see, how these things works. In a production environment, make sure you run this command based on the maintenance window or time when we have a downtime, something like that. So the things will not matter impact. And also you have noticed as soon as we just resetted everything come smoother. Okay, I don't have to come here and reset the things. Okay, it's already got established. But this thing I can see it's this. Let me try this. Let me do this. Communication. If I say test, see unknown could not disturb me. Please make sure the service have no on security management server. Port 18191. Okay. go to the management server. Stack -NA web process. That's all. So it's saying it's listening on the gateway side, oh sorry, management side. Let's do the same. So here there's no way to check this. Although it's saying it's listening, but we are seeing the SIG is broken here. Let me reset it. Let's say it will work. Right. So make sure guys, whenever you play with these things in a production, you have to be careful, because the certificate thing, once that establishment gone wrong, although you will set things back, you may have to reset the system. I'm just resetting it one more time. Okay, so now it's time to do some question answers. So let me know guys, what do you think about this today's class? Any questions, anything which not clear?
The communication to the user mode always has to go through the kernel, or does it go directly to the user?
Depends on which processes we are talking about. So FWM process is more, it's like a management process. So for example, if we learn about this process, so it's more of your management process. Okay, so most of the time when you try to you know debug the issues which is related to the you are not able to log into your SMS. Okay, that time you don't have to worry about the gateway, right? It's
Correct.
only of the management server and your your PC, whatever it is. So that time this process like FWM process come in the picture. Okay, and if you debug this process, you don't have to worry about the gateway related things. It depends on your requirement. What are you doing? Okay, we'll be having those understanding. I know today it's a start, and it's directly we have jumped into the core concepts. It's hard to digest, but still I wanted to ask you guys, if you have any query, let me know now, so we'll try to whatever the silly questions, tough questions, if you not understood any part of it, uh, see the debug what we are doing, right? It's more of your depends on your the use cases. Okay, right now what we are trying to see here, just get this thing from this lab. Okay, that whenever if you want to do the testing or troubleshooting with respect to uh, the the processes or daemons. Okay, so right now we have just looked for the sick thing. Okay, CPD may involve in various things. When you do the searching on the checkpoint side, and you come to know, okay, this functionality is related to the CPD. Now you know how you can troubleshoot the CPD. Okay, or tomorrow if uh, checkpoint tag they ask you to give them these logs for the troubleshooting, you know how to do this, and also you know how to look into the files. Okay, right now because of the what are the use case we haven't seen much data into that, but depending on your future use cases, whatever you tackling with the client or the systems, you might be getting detailed output. Okay, the output will only go into those files. One is your messages files and one is in your ELG file. There is no other way to go that output, to see into some different files. These only two files you have to observe for details. The approach I wanted to give you, use case scenario may be different. So I want you guys to be give me confirmation that the approach what I am talking about is clear to you,
Yep, definitely.
right? Any question, Ruturaj?
Not it. I need to check. I will ask you later. Not an issue.
Yeah. Ask me later. But you got the approach what
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
talking about,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
This is how you need to look into the files, into the troubleshooting. Today we have just troubleshooted CPD.
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow we will go for the FWM, then FWD. The approach will be the same.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want to say. Whichever process I am going to troubleshoot, right? Whichever, I'll be hitting the same commands. Only the process name will be the different. Okay, instead of CPD, I will use FWM. Instead of FWM, I will use FWD. But the fundamental behind it same, and you should know which processes come at what time and what processes take care of which. You know, as an admin, we don't have to go in that deeper the way I am going now. This is all about the that the checkpoint have a diamond services like that. They do these things. Okay, uh, doing the administration work, we don't have to go in that much deep. But but in certain scenarios, if you want to know more of this, you can do this sort of things. The purpose of this course is more of your understanding on the which process you know talks about what functionality. So I am saying CPD is secure internal communication, but we have practically seen when I do some work related to the CPD, actual CPD ELG file gives me the related details on SICK. Okay, so we are not talking something rubbish. We are talking sense, right?
Yeah.
And tomorrow, if this processes got down or something happened, you know what are the functionality will be, not work, right? But have you observed the firewalling will impacted due to this? No, right? If the traffic will process, it will not impact anything on that, right?
That makes sense.
It's a lot. I
Yeah.
mean, there's a lot scope to understand, but just try to see the direction what I'm going to give you guys during this course. So, if we don't have any question, we're good to close, and we'll start tomorrow on the same time.
Yeah. Thanks so much.
Yeah, and try to just learn more on these things by your own self. Just see the stuff and let me know if you have any queries.
Definitely. Thank you so much.
Okay, guys?
All right. See you all.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.